Hello everyone, welcome to the Ultriva version 7.7 Enhancements webinar and how to replace an item as well. My name is Lori McNeely. I am a customer support specialist for Ultriva, and also joining me is Narayan Laksham, who is our Ultriva CEO.
Good morning everyone.
And also joining us is Ed Connery. He will be fielding some of the questions that we have today.
Good morning.
All right. If you do have a question, please use that question box in your go-to webinar control panel. This is where you would type that question. And in fact, if I ask you about raising your hand, here's where you can find that raise your hand icon. We will be recording it. In fact, we are recording this right now. I'm looking at my monitor saying, hey, it is recording. And we will have this available on our help site so that you can view that in the future. And as always, we have our past webinars on there as well in case you have missed a few. Our next one will be on Thursday, November 20th, same time, noon Central. And of course, we're doing these in 7.7 and higher. So last webinar, we did go over some of the enhancements in the release notes. We will go through a few more today. We still aren't going to get through everything, so please go out to the help site, have a look at those release notes, and see what else is there. And we also are going to go over replacing an item, and that also is new to 7.7. We're going to have a few surveys. We'll give you the results of those surveys. And so we're ready to just jump right in and talk about the cycle time report. And the change that's been made on the cycle time report is the item description has now been added. You can see that is here on the end. And with that, we are ready to do a quick little demo and show you that cycle time report. So actually it's a report, so we go to reports and cycle time. I'm going to go ahead and do this for this date range and for all suppliers. We'll do a show report here. And sure enough, hey, our description is here on the end. We do have our item number here at the beginning. So raise your hand if you think we have a way to move this description over here to the item, next to the item number. So raise your hand if you know how to do that or think we can do that. I only see maybe 2 or 3 hands going up, so we can all learn a little bit about this here. So on this screen, as well as a few others here in Ultriva, we have a Views button, and if we go ahead and click Views, we can create a view. First off, we have to give this a name. I'm going to call this Lori Move Item Description. And because that's what I want to do, and I'm going to check mark set this as the default view. So anytime I come to this cycle time report, it's going to show me my custom view by default. I do not want to mess with any of the sort fields. I think it's already sorted by item number. I don't necessarily want to change that. That's fine with me. But the customized display on the show fields, sure enough, down here at the end, here is our description. We can click that and just move that up right underneath the item item number. We'll go ahead and save that. And now we have our description showing right here next to our item number, so we don't have to keep scrolling or looking across. Both of those are right there together. And in fact, if we needed to, you can go in and click Views and edit the view if you want to make a couple more changes, or delete the view. You can delete it and it'll go back to the default view as well. Or if by chance you still wanted to see that default view, you can click this as well. The pin kind of shows us which view that we are on. So that's how you can set up a custom view. In case you haven't seen our past webinar called Ultriva Tips and Tricks. So we have this in there along with a few other tips for you. So if you've missed that one, you might want to go back and have a look. All right, so we will go back here and Narayan can tell us about the change here to the buyer queue and buyer status.
Thanks, Lori. So I think one of the things that we've been getting feedback as well as we looked at as the number of suppliers go up, in the buyer queue filter, sometimes the drop-down list really expands, and when you run into hundreds and thousands, it becomes it takes time to load. So what we did was we pre-validate. Basically, what that means is that if there is the data set that's coming in, we show only the suppliers that are, for that data set. So you still can go and get all suppliers, but you can pick a specific supplier through an autofill. So I think that's a big advantage. And what as we started doing that, it definitely improves the performance of, and it allows the page to load much faster than what it was, because we are not fetching everything. Instead, we are filtering based on the data set that's coming in. So that's a big advantage.
All right, so we will have a look at that here. And all right, so if we go to actions and we go to buyer queue, so sure enough, I do have this filter just for the one supplier here. But if I click the X there, I close that out. If I just click the go button, it's going to show me everything. It's going to show me all my parts here. And you can see I've got quite a few parts now. But again, if you just wanted to start typing the supplier that you want, we're doing the autofill now. And again, with the autofill, if you're not sure, you probably know what your supplier name starts with, but in case you weren't sure, you still wanted that to see kind of a list, you just press the space bar and it will give you that supplier listing. It'll list everything instead of just a little bit when you start doing the typing. So this is the buyer queue. If I go to reports and buyer status, it looks exactly the same way. We have this here. I can click the X here and clear out my filter and click the go button. And sure enough, it's showing all of our items here. And if I just wanted to, again, to do a little bit here, we can select the go button, and then we're just seeing just for the supplier. And of course, the buyer queue allows you to click here and then see each of the individual cards and the particular status that goes along with it. All right, so that is the buyer queue. And let's see. All right, so we will come back here. So the buyer action, the supplier filters on any of these buyer actions, kind of as Narayan was alluding to, now only suppliers that have available cards are going to be shown on your selection list here. For example, if I was on the approve reschedule, it will only show me the suppliers that have cards that are available for reschedule. And again, this does make these pages load much faster. The website's definitely gotten a bit faster with this change. All right, so we'll do a little demo here, and we'll kind of show you a couple of things. So if I click on actions, and if I go to maybe the put away, this is only showing me, if I click here, this is only showing me the suppliers that have cards to put away. In the past, this, if you had 100 suppliers, this would show you all 100 suppliers, and you would just maybe have to click on whichever ones that you wanted to, guessing which ones maybe had cards to put away, or whatever buyer action that you want. So not only is it the page loading faster, it's helping you find what you need faster as well. And if I go to this approve supplier reschedule, the supplier sent a reschedule request, I can come here and sure enough, there's only one here. And I kind of bring up this approves of reschedule for a reason here. I've had a couple questions recently about a supplier not being able to ship a card because it says waiting for reschedule approval. If that's the case, then you can come to your home screen and you can see that if you hover your mouse over that you have something that's waiting for reschedule approval, and then you click that and it takes you directly here. So these are the buyer action pages. It's really nice only having that small select list of suppliers for whatever you need to do here. All right. Guess we just went through that one, huh? There's our demo. All right, so we're ready to jump into the replace an item, and we have a couple of poll questions for you. We will start with the first one about replacing or discontinuing items. So I will go ahead and launch that for you. So how often do you replace or discontinue items? Do you do it on a monthly basis, quarterly, yearly? Maybe you're not sure. So go ahead and submit your votes. I see several coming in. We'll give folks a few more seconds here to answer. All right. It looks like most people have voted here. I'll just give it 2 more seconds. All right. Very, very good. So we will go ahead and close that, and I will go ahead and share the results of that. It looks like most people aren't sure, but the rest of it's kind of split a little bit there between monthly and quarterly and yearly. Looks like that tied there. All right, so we'll go ahead. We'll hide that. We have another question for you about. I'll go ahead and launch that. But how many items do you normally need to replace or discontinue in a year? Maybe you have a lot. Maybe you have little. I'll go ahead and give this a few seconds so people can submit their votes. All right. Give it about 5 more seconds. I still see some people voting. All right. We'll go ahead and close this one and share that. Looks like between 1 and 10, 11 to 50, and a few people aren't sure as well. And looks like some folks maybe have more than 100. All right. So we will go ahead and hide that, and we'll jump right in. Narayan can talk about the replacing items.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. So basically, I think this request came from a few of our customers, and we have been trying to figure out what's the best approach, whereby we are not constraining you into a specific process while providing you the flexibility to do this. So from our perspective, the reason why we were trying to get these poll was to understand, whether the frequency in which you're doing it versus, whether this process needs to be automated or it has to be manual. When I say automated, should we include, this process in an item master upload, or should we just let people go in, through a manual system that we're going to demonstrate to do a replace item. So I think that was the reason behind that polling. Because if you are doing frequently and if you're doing for a large number of parts, then obviously, tying that to an item master upload would make sense. If not, I think, if you're doing only a few parts, in a very irregular basis, then I think we can definitely let you do it manually. So the purpose of this replace item, typically, we look at it from a 2 or 3 perspective, and obviously, we'll ask you a poll question at the end depending on what you do with it. But we assume that one is that there is a revision change that is coming in, based on, you're changing a model or you're changing a particular revision of the product with a slightly better revision from your suppliers, or your design changes that has come in, engineering change order has come in, and then you want to replace that part with a different part, of a different material, whatever. I think so. So our goal is to, make a tie between your existing part and then provide an option for you to replace the same part with what we call it as, true replacement. That is that, the demand pattern, the consumption pattern, we assume would be the same for the new part. So what we are trying to do is that, okay, if you are using 20 card loop size, when you get to the new part, you will use the same 20 cards to begin with, and maybe afterwards, it might change. But at least at the transition period, you will be using the same set of parts. So I think, so what we did was, okay, what is the simplest way to do it? The simplest way to do it is start with an item, and then, associate through more options a feature whereby you can say, okay, replace this item with something else. So what we do is that we pick the item number that you're replacing with, and then, if you are either replacing the description as well, if sometimes you do want to change the description, and, what is the revision number if you want to change, and then if it's going to be put in a different location code as compared to that, and what is the effective date, in which you're going to, replace that. So basically, that's really, that's what it is. Typically, I think the item number definitely can change if required. Sometimes only the revision number might change. So depending on what you want to do, we provide both options.
All right, and something to also keep in mind is on that effective date is to take into consideration your lead time and transit time. You might want to subtract those days out, so you're getting this replacement item on the date that you truly that you would truly want or need it.
Good point, Lori. So I think just be aware. As I said up front, this is a fairly straightforward, simplistic, method we have set, which means that if you're setting it up for October 30th, till October 29th, we will continue to release cards if you're using the old item. And come, November 1st, when you release the old card, we will replace it with the new item card. So I think, if you are doing some inventory, reduction over the period, then the effective date you should really compute using the lead time and transit time such that before let's say the October 30th is, and you have a 30-day lead time plus transit time, then you set it up for September 30th such that when you start releasing signals in October, you will get the new parts in November. So that's something that you need to manually manage it. At this point of time, we don't do any level of automation. But, obviously, if you have some specific process, we would appreciate you sending an email to Lori, and then, she can pass it on to engineering.
All right, and with this, once you do set, you'll notice a new column here called status, and with 7.7, and active, the active status, that's the normal everyday status that you would see. But if you've created a replacement item, if it says not effective, then that means that item's not active yet because your original item hasn't hit that expiration date. But if it says expired, then yes, that item, that date has come, and your new item, your new item has come into play, and then that item that did say not effective now says active. So these are the various statuses that you will see in 7.7. All right, and once you do this, your open orders, they're not automatically converted on that expiration date. They will, if you have orders released to your cards released to your supplier, they still go through the loop. They're still able to accept them, ship them, and receive them. And then once you release them, those expired cards, they will get destroyed, and new cards will get created under that new item number, and then those new cards released to the supplier under that new item number. And we'll go through an example of how that works. And I think now we are ready to go through that example. How are we doing on do we have any questions so far, Ed?
Yeah, we have a few questions actually
Okay.
regarding, if we want to start at the top. One of the questions was, does this function work for existing ERP integrations such as item sync? Can this be handled through an item sync process?
Okay, not at this time. Narayan was discussing that. One of the reasons was for the poll questions was to see how many that people have, and if there's a need to build some kind of an interface with the ERP to do this. So I would say not at this time, but we will definitely take that under advisement.
Great. Another question came through and said, will you still be able to order the old part number on a spot basis?
At this point in time, Ed, I think once it is expired, I'm not sure exactly how we control the behavior on the spike order. So, it's a good point. We'll check it out, and we should get back on that, Lori.
Okay. Yes. We can. Whoever sent that question, we'll look that up and get that answered later on. Anything else?
Yeah, there was one other one. Somebody asked why the effective date wouldn't be or didn't appear to be a required field on the form when you're filling the parameters out. Okay.
It actually is a required field. I guess if you leave it blank, then I'm assuming nothing's going to happen. So yeah, it really should be a required field. So that's an excellent point, and I will pass that along to engineering as well to make sure that it's definitely noted that it's required.
Mm-hmm. We actually had one more question just come in. It's with regard to, will the system automatically update the item master to change the daily demand to 0 so that it destroys current cards or prevents releasing cards to a supplier for the old part number?
I haven't played around with the item sync, but I do know that once, and we'll kind of have a look at this here in a bit. But once the item says expired, I could not go back in and go to cards and add more cards. It gave me an error. So I think once that's expired, all those cards, any card that's assigned to an expired item, as they go through the loop, they're going to go to the new item and flow through the new item. Those cards would be, these 27 cards would be destroyed, and they would go to this new item. And I'll kind of show that. Actually, I'll show that right now. So this one is expired. I've got 27 expired cards here. And right now, this is my replacement item. And it has 13 cards because I've been playing around with it, making sure all this works the way it should. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go, I have some cards that are already released to A&G Machining that are expired that have the item name of dog collar large. So I'll go ahead and go to my supplier business unit. I'm here at A&G Machining. I can click the orders not acknowledged yet. And sure enough, these were released prior to the expiration date. I have seven cards left. So I can go ahead. I can still receive all of, receive. I can still accept, I can still accept all 7 of these cards just fine. And I can go to Actions Ship. And of course, the supplier can still ship the cards for this item as well. Maybe I won't do all of them. Maybe I'll just do 5 here. All right, so I've shipped these. I know this is in red. I'm not going to worry about printing because, hey, we're doing some testing here. I'm going to go to my plant business unit, and actually we'll go ahead and receive these 5 cards. So this took me directly to the A&G machining, and we'll go to these 5 pieces. We'll go ahead and receive all 5. I'll make a note here. Maybe these last 2 cards, they end in 3J and UP. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and receive these. So, and again, this part's expired, but, we can still do everything we need to. And now I'm going to go to Actions and Release, and we're going to release some of these cards. So, again, this item number is still showing up here. All right. So, UP and 3J, these were the ones that we received. And if by chance, if anybody noticed here, I've got some here that have a little blue diamond. If I hover my mouse over it, that means these are new cards. They haven't gone through the loop yet. These were kind of maybe some on-hand cards that I had to begin with, some on-hand inventory, and the cycle number is 0. So just to show that these will also do what they need to do, I'll go ahead and we'll maybe select a couple of these as well. We'll go ahead and release these. And sure enough, it tells me that these have all been released. These 4 cards were destroyed because the expiry date was reached, and we have 4 new cards for a new item number. All right, and if we go back here to admin item, and if we have a look, you can see these numbers have changed. This is no longer, this was 13 before, and now we've released 4 cards, and so now we have 17 here, and those 4 were reduced from our expired part number here. So this is how it works. I mean, you can see that it destroys the cards after they've hit the expiration date and move them over here. But we will go through an example here of setting one up. So I'm going to, we'll take this part here. We'll go to More Options and Replace Item. Okay. It does kind of a word of advice here. At this time, once you set an effective date here, and the part expires, you can no longer use this item number. So, unless, you maybe call and get some help here from the engineering team. So a word of advice, maybe don't do a replace item unless you really want to do a replace item. Of course, if you're in your test environment, have at it. Do as much testing and playing around as you need to. But once you get to the live site, try to make sure that you really do need to replace this item. So I'm going to add my initials here. I'm going to leave my description the same. It really doesn't matter. I guess I could put my initials here as well. Okay, my revision number, maybe my revision number is changing as well. And I get to choose my effective date. So I do know that this part has a 2-day lead time and a 1-day transit time. So maybe if I want to start getting this new item number in here on November 1st, kind of a timetable, maybe I want to say October 29th for my effective date. So once I, starting, which would mean on the 29th, as soon as I release a card on the 29th, it's going to be released with this new, with my new replacement item right here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And okay, so cool. So this one is active. It's still active. We still have all 32 cards here. it is not effective. If I hover my mouse over it, it will tell me when it's going to be effective. So at midnight on the 29th, that's when this item is going to be active. And if you needed to, you could edit this and change your supplier or change anything that you needed to. By default, it is going to be the same supplier. Everything is going to be assigned exactly the same as it was for your original item. All right, so that is how it works. And any other questions that have come in, Ed?
Yep, we've got a few more actually. One of the questions that came in said, when you change the item number for a new item, can you search the history for the old item number, or does the history transfer to the new item?
I don't think the history transfers to the new item. I think all that history stays with your original history stays with your original item.
Yeah, and I think the final transaction that you see is when the system destroys the cards as you release the on-hand inventory and creates new cards under the new item.
Right. If we went to like reports and ran a card history report for destroyed for today, these 4 cards would show on that destroyed card history report.
Mm-hmm. There's after replacing an item, is there any way that we can see the old item that was replaced by the new item at some future point?
Okay, so right now, if something says expired, we can't really edit, like go into more options, replace item, and see that past history. I believe in a future release, engineering is working on being able to show that data.
Yes, I think one of the things that we don't do today is the association. That is, which item replaced which item and
Mm-hmm.
which item was replaced by which item. So I think that association is there internally, but it's not being displayed for end user. And I think that's one of the things that definitely is an engineering queue.
Mm-hmm. And to go a little bit further than that, if we don't transfer the history to the new part number, does your daily usage and consumption history, will you see that when you look at the history for the new part number, or does it start only on the date that it becomes effective?
Right. So maybe let's see. So this one says not effective, but if I were to, and maybe I'm understanding this question correctly. If I look, it's going to take the same usage per day that was on that original item here.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I think the question probably refers to if you go to the material status, for example, for this part, it's asking whether it will show what is the last 15 days or the last 90 days.
Okay.
yeah, so when you try to resize the Kanban loop, for instance, does it pull, can you get 90 days of history? If the part just became effective, will it then look back at the old part and pull that consumption pattern or trends?
Ooh.
So it does. It shows, right? It's showing exactly the same that...
It's showing kind of level. Okay, so this is my old item. This is my replacement item.
Right.
So
yeah, I think look at the daily usage in the last 15 days and daily usage in the last 90 days.
okay.
I think very close, because I think primarily it's different on the new one because you have transacted.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
otherwise I think it should probably show the same thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we are carrying forward, that data. So, Ed, I'm not sure whether, how the auto resize works, but I think that's something to test and see.
Perfect.
Whether when you really look at auto resize and say the last 90 days, technically it should go back, since it is showing up here, technically it should go back to the old data, to old part history to resize, but that needs to be validated.
Okay, great. And then one other question. if you have an item that you're superseding with a new item, and it is an item that might be dual sourced, meaning that it has two suppliers set up, will both of those suppliers then see that new part number? And will it carry that default supplier information to the new part number as well?
Very good question.
That is a very good question. That was one of the things that I had not done, but that's something I will definitely do. I'll have a look at that after this webinar as well. All right, great questions coming in, and it looks like this is one of the webinars that when I send out an update, I will kind of make a consolidated list of all these questions and the answers that we've got. All right, and anything else right now?
There's one last question. Any open orders that you have for the new item, will the system take that into account as it creates orders for the new item and sizes that loop? Which I think refers to how we transition cards from the old item as they're consumed or released to the new item.
Right. As Lori mentioned, I think the old item open orders stay as old item open orders. We don't. She demonstrated that process where the supplier will still see the old orders even if it is after the expiration period. And that's one of the things that I said, up front, that we are not putting any intelligence into this process. At this point in time, all we are doing is just mapping it, setting up an effective date, and then transitioning the old item to the new item. But depending on some requests, we can start putting some more smartness into this. But at this time, it's very, very straightforward and simple.
Perfect.
All right. So we will head back over here. I think if that's it for the questions for now, I think we have another poll question here. And I'll go ahead and launch that. So now that you've seen this replacement feature, there are some things that it can do and some things that we would maybe need to build into it in the future. So thinking about your processes today, how would you envision using this replace item feature? And you can select multiple answers here. And if you're really not sure, you can always select other, and you don't necessarily have to email me, but hey, if you do have another use for this, please email any suggestions that you might have. I see several votes coming in. I'll give us a few more seconds here. All right, people are still voting. Give you a few more seconds to submit that. All right. So we'll go ahead and close this. And I will kind of share that with everybody. Looks like a lot of people are choosing for replacement of existing part. We've got closely followed by for same part but for a new revision. I'm not sure that first option, same part for a new revision, I believe right now we're forcing a brand new item number, a unique item number. But that's something that I believe we will pass along to engineering for future. All right, very good. And I will go ahead and we will hide that. Right, and this is all that I have for today. Do we have any more questions, or Narayan, anything else?
We do have a couple more questions, actually.
Okay.
Since this feature is included only in our latest version, there's a couple questions regarding the upgrades. Is there any cost to the upgrade, and how much downtime do we typically require to perform that upgrade?
That's a good question, and it gives me a segue to what I was planning to say. Is really I would recommend everybody to migrate to this new version, and of course there is no cost associated with this. But I think the standard process of migration does involve you putting it up on your test systems, going through your UAT process, and then approving it. And once you approve, I think we'll move this to the production. Depending on whether, if we are hosting it, we'll coordinate with the respective customer, get their UAT signed off. If it is, for Emerson team, obviously the UAT has to be done internally, and then their internal team has to do the migration. So, but I think I would strongly recommend, primarily, one is there's a bunch of new features that's going to be useful. Second is there are also some performance enhancements that we have done, which could be, pretty good as you start scaling up the usage of Ultriva. So I would strongly recommend that, you move to this new version as quickly as you can.
All right. Anything else, Ed?
No, that's all.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time. We appreciate you spending part of your day with us. And my contact information is on the screen. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And thank you very much. And we will hope to see you again in November. Everybody have a good rest of the day.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.